Welcome, viewing several once again. This is episode 38 of my little series that I like to call Hands Up, Who Loves a Train Set? Me. So, I just got this yesterday, so I'm doing it review now. These have just come out. This is brand new TT1005M starter set from Hornby. It says it's DCC ready, so that's interesting. It must have a socket that will fit one of their HM7000s, I guess. So, comes in a nice little box. I quite like the cover's quite nice, and yeah, there've been quite a few people have reviewed these already, but obviously since I collect train sets, I had to get one myself and review it. Let's have a little look on the back. Right, so on this side of the box it says you've got a base oval that you get with this set. Now I'm going to assume this is a second radius, but I can compare it to some second radius track because I have got second radius, so it might actually be third radius even, because looking at the expansions it shows a track going inside it, so maybe that's this pack here. So it looks like the original one is probably the outer one, so yeah, it could be third radius, we'll see. But because it's TT1005, it will fit on my desk. So yeah, I got this, I ordered mine, pre-ordered this in March from Rails of Sheffield, and it came yesterday. So yeah, I think I paid $89.99, which I think the pre-order price was $79.99, but Hornby's price, the RRP, was $89.99. It's now $99.99, so it went up, but yeah, I still got it for £10 off Hornby's price. So yeah, let's have a look inside it, shall we? Right, so here we are. Right, the first thing I notice is I've got one of these controllers, which is, they're probably using these up in the stock for the analog ones. My other set that I've got, which is the Easterner set, now that doesn't have a controller because it's got an HM7000, so you use your phone and you just plug the track pretty much into the thing directly. But this is the analog set, so we got one of these controllers. So you know what, I think I'm gonna use my Gauge Master when I set it up, I would think, although I might give this a go. So let's have a look. So the class B4 040 locomotive, newly tooled. Now I've got on pre-order the 00 gauge version of this set, which has very similar one of these, but in the larger scale, obviously. So that looks actually pretty nice for, I think I've got grease from my fingers on it already, but the detail is pretty nice, and it does say on the box that it's a scale model, not suitable for children under 14, I think it says. So that looks rather nice, and you get a couple of wagons. So what do we got here? We've got a 7-plank wagon, I think that is. Yeah, it's very nice. Looks like it's got metallic, if not metal, wheels. I think they are plastic. They're just silver. Made in China. And then we've got a Southern Railways liveried vent van. Again, it's not, it's not bad. Not bad. It looks really quite nice. So it is a very basic set. These days with Hornby's freight sets, that's what you get. You get a loop, you get a loco, and you get 2 wagons. Not like the old days, of course. I've just bought another very old set on eBay actually, which is from 1971, which is a steam freight set. And that you get like at least 3 wagons and a brake van on those in those days. Let's just have a look under the. No, there's nothing under there. So this is how they're packaged now, with this kind of pulp tray. sort of egg box. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to say about this. It's a nice, simple set, and it looks nice. So let's set it up and see what it runs like. Right, we're on the track. So for the initial run, I've run it in a little bit, and I'm going to use this supplied controller. And I think the thing is with these controllers is that Hornby are expecting most people to use HM7000 system with this and not use these controllers, and you know, use your telephone to control it, or a tablet or whatever. So it runs very nicely. It's got a little bit of noise on the slow there. This controller, I think it's horrible. So I'm going to swap it out for a Gauge Master. I'm just going to speed it up. The other thing is this piece of power track is very warped. This particular straight, I don't particularly like that. How much it's warped given the scale of it, that is quite a lot. So that's a markdown. The controller itself, the knob is very stiff. That's full speed. I'm going to slow it down. It's unpleasant to use a controller like this, quite frankly. So it just so happens that I've got plenty of TT1005M because I am planning to build some sort of layout, and I've got another one of these, and this one is flat, but it's also got this, which means I can plug my Gauge Master into it. So I'm going to switch controllers and power track, and then we'll come back. Right, we're back again, and this time we've got a proper controller. And not that piece of trash that comes with the set. Now, to be fair, as I said, they're probably banking on most people fitting HM7000 to this. So what is it? How's it better with this? Well, first of all, this is flat. I'm not getting that horrible noise, and it is crawling much better. So that you can see that. Having said that, it's now decided to stop working. I think it's just that thing. Yeah, so go back the other way. And this way. Yeah, I mean, it needs some running in, but already that is much better than the Hornby controller. And we'll go round. It's a higher speed as well. I don't think the speed's very high on those Hornby controllers. I noticed that yesterday when I was doing that blue Rapier set. The top speed was quite low, and I think it's those old Hornby controllers are not very good. But it's very nice on this controller, and I suspect it'll be pretty nice as well running with the HM7000. So whether or not I keep this analog, I think I am going to build a 120 layout at some point. I might not use much of this set, but it's going to probably be mostly analog. Now we'll do a couple of other little tests, so I'm just going to stop it there and I'll come back in a sec. Right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to try a very slow couple up. Now I think on this, I've got that on the straight here, so gives it a chance. You obviously don't want to couple on a corner. So we'll see. Let's have a look. Very slowly. So that will run nice and slow. I think that's pretty incredibly good. It won't do that on the Hornby controller that came in a box, but it will do it on this one. Now I think with these couplings, I don't think they're going to couple automatically. I think the wagons are just a bit too light. I think it will just push them along. So you're probably going to have to go up against some buffers, but we'll see what happens. So let's see what happens. Not quite. Let's see. Yeah, it's got to overcome that little bit of inertia. But you know, I wouldn't expect that. I think if I was pushing it against a buffer, it would probably work. But you probably have to go in a little faster in order to automatically couple. However, I must say that's pretty good, I think. I think the thing is, the older TT1005, the older TT from Triang, is really good at shunting because it is a lot bigger and it's heavier, and it's got tension lock couplings, and it's pretty reliable. But obviously it's not as good a scale model. But I think we can safely say that that is a lovely runner, provided you've got a decent controller. So we'll just zoom out a little bit and watch it go round again. It is a lovely looking little loco, but if you've seen my adventures in TT120 series, you'll have seen my Class 08, and yeah, that one's a rather good one as well. And I'm going to I have to say, on this particular, on a decent controller, they are fantastic. I mean, that is really rather good. So I'm going to get a few more wagons out now and just see what it's like with a few more. Right, welcome to your Brucie Bonus, your Brucie Bonus. Right, so what I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to see how it works with a whole bunch of wagons, including a four-wheel coach. So I've got my other Hornby wagons plus a couple of Pico wagons there, and we will give it a run with a nice long rake of wagons. So let's give it a bit of juice. Yeah, so obviously I'm looking at the set in general, but I also want to, for a bonus, just play around with a bit of some of the other stuff I've got. I did think about putting some points and a siding in here, which I might still do that and do a bit of shunting, although I might leave that out of this particular review and just stick to the track that came with this set for this review. I just wanted to show these extra wagons because I wanted to show this little newly tooled 040 pulling a longer train, and that does that without really any bother. Yeah, it's much more pleasant to use and to operate with the Gauge Master than it is the Hornby one. Those controllers, I think that one's a particularly bad example because it's very stiff. But you know, how it supplies current to the track at a low setting is just not very good either. You can hear the motor making a horrible noise at that sort of speed, which you don't get with this, and that will run nice and slow. So there you have it. So what do I think of the set? Well, in summary, it's a nice little set. It's a great little starter set, and I like sets like this because I can just put them on here and play with them. I've got all these extra wagons because I am, like I say, I am going to build a bigger layout with TT120, but I haven't decided if that's going to be analog or digital. This does appear to be the third radius track, because I did just have a look, compare it to the second radius track that I've got, and it will go nicely inside. So I could have a double loop on here. I've only got one set of points, but with another set, and I've got some more straights, we could have a nice double loop with an inner loop. Or we could just have some sidings going off and round. So yeah, I think I might be putting something on a board, but I haven't decided what yet. I think I might build a yard with Pico Unifrog points, but that's really for another series. So getting back to this set, I think that engine is really, really nice. I'm very pleased with that. Let's just slow it right down. Yeah. I mean, that's a sort of a nice kind of speed. So what do we got? We've got a four-wheel coach, we've got the two wagons that came with, two Pico wagons, and then two more Hornby plank wagons. And they're all nice, and they're all running very smoothly. We'll just show it going the other way. So it can push them, not a problem. Right, well, I haven't got my background set up because it's a bit too big a scale for this. So I might do some close-up shots, both of the stock train and this long one. Right, so I'm going to give my final thoughts with the view of the train running, because why not? It's very nice. It's running very nicely, so I might as well do the summary with the train running. So what did I expect from this set? I just wanted a set that was a nice little starter set with an oval, and that's what I got. It runs really well. The locomotive is absolutely lovely, I think. It's a really lovely little loco. It's a great performer. I think it's a good set. I think it's pretty good value for money as well. I really do. On the downsides, this controller is just appalling. This knob turns to about there, then it starts to get, it's just so stiff that it's just horrible to use. I don't like these controllers at all. I think Hornby, probably their plan was for most people to use HM7000 and control it via a tablet or a smartphone, which is fair enough, but with a decent analog controller, it's really good. So one of them controllers will cost more than half of what the set cost, but it's worth it. But if I just had this set and no other stuff, it would be a bit disappointing to have to use this controller. And then the final disappointment is this piece of track. It was very warped. I've straightened it out a bit, but it's still a bit warped, and it's got this great big thing on it. Now, I mean, yeah, it's slightly annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. If I just show you, that's my other one. But if I build a layout, I wouldn't be using one of these. I would just solder up some wires to the track anyway. So not a big deal from that sense. But yeah, this series is all about boxed train sets and just setting them up and playing with them as out of the box. Now, some of the older vintage ones, obviously, you didn't get a controller, or the track is missing or broken, so you can't always set it up exactly. But this is a brand new set, so we've come all the way from the 1950s to the present day in this series in 37 episodes, not necessarily in order, but we've been around the world a bit as well. Well, certainly Europe and the United States with our sets that we've looked at, but this set is the latest. It came out this week, so this is brand new. So we've covered kind of all the time we can. I have tried to get some earlier sets, but if you go back earlier than the mid to early 50s, they start to get more difficult and expensive, difficult to get, and unreliable. So some of the sets I've shown were in production before the war, but not in the form that I've got, and are very expensive if you get the pre-war stuff. So I've covered sort of 70, maybe 75 years of train sets in this series, and I do like all of them. I've got a few left that I haven't covered yet, and I picked up another one today that was on its way, that is an early 70s one, because I haven't done any early 70s ones. I've done 60s, 50s, 80s, 90s, noughties, 2010s, and now 2020s. So I've got a couple of holes to plug in the early 70s, and it was very cheap, and I'm probably going to have to do a bit of work on it to get it to run, but that's kind of the bit I enjoy, really. So but this is the opposite end. This is brand new, out of the box, runs beautifully, so I'm very pleased with it, and I'm probably going to leave it set up tonight so I can play with it. I'll probably get the other wagons out again tomorrow, maybe set up some sidings and have a bit of a shunt. But that concludes the review of this set. I think it's I'd give it a good rating, and I think most people will probably get. I think I might have been unlucky with this. These are not very good, but they're not always that bad. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you in the next one, whatever that may be.